Hawk sports fans, welcome back to the channel. We went to Orlando last week. We started off the Hawk Talk tour. We got to spend a few days with Terrence McKinney. You guys have seen us posting that this week, but we're finally back in the chair and we're bringing a banger interview to you guys. This is an interview that's been a long time in the making. Youssef is probably like one of the best responding guys in the UFC. I'm going to give Youssef a ton of credit. Some of these guys, it takes weeks, sometimes even a month to reply. Youssef is the type of guy, he's always going to communicate with you if you send him a text. So I'm finally glad to bring him on the channel for you guys today. It's the number 7 ranked featherweight in the world right now, the Moroccan Devil, Youssef Zalal. Youssef, how are you doing, brother?
I am good, my man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. And we had to say the kind words. You got to let the people know off camera what's really going on, bro. I mean, you got to give people props whenever they deserve it. And Yusuf's just been awesome with communicating. So we're going to continue to probably grow this friendship and get him on here going forward. But Yusuf, I start every single interview off with, how are you and your family currently doing, man?
We're good, my man. Thank you. Thank you for asking. It's the busy life, but it's the good life. It's the good life, and it's a blessing. So I'm grateful for the opportunities that I get, and obviously how everything is going. So I'm very grateful and blessed for that.
For sure, man. And I always got to start every interview off with that because I think it's the most important question. But I agree with you, man. Life's moving fast, but if you keep yourself busy, it usually ends up being a fun life, even though it is moving quick. So obviously, you've been moving around lately, but we're going to get into that later on. I do want to talk about your last fight. You took out Josh Emmett in just under 100 seconds. So being 2 months removed now from UFC 320, how does it feel to finally have that number 7 ranking by your name right now? And what do you think your path is to getting a title shot? Because that division's so fun right now. There's so many big names, a lot of opportunities for you now to go out and potentially take out a big name and then get a title shot. So, what are those two things kind of mean to you right now?
The rankings is whatever, I feel like the rankings is it's all fun and games, and like sometimes they play around and stuff like that. It's just stupid sometimes to me. I really don't understand how they do it, but it is what it is. Like number 7, like I said, it's a grateful and blessed opportunity. You know what I mean? So it's definitely it gets it more interesting now. So to see the top 5 and the top 6, what they look like, you know what I mean? So I'm definitely excited to see who's the next matchup is. And with the featherweight division, I think it really doesn't matter how many fights you won or how many this. It's all about politics and whoever bringing the numbers and whoever's bringing all that. So in the end of the day, it doesn't matter. So it's like we go in and do our job. That's obviously winning. That's the most important. You have to go win and then keep your name up there. So that's what I'm doing, and that's what I'm keep going. So I called my shot. I called all those guys in the top 5, and hopefully I can hear something soon about any of those guys.
For sure, and I completely agree, man. I mean, as the day of this interview is happening right now, you posted "See you soon." We know you're working right now. I think, especially coming off a win over Josh Emmett. Yes, is he lower ranked now than you? But Josh Emmett's a guy who's known for being tough, being a very durable guy, a tough guy to get out of the octagon, and you got him out of there in less than 100 seconds. So I expect to see you fighting somebody in the top 5 next. So I completely agree with that statement you just said right there. And I hope you do get that opportunity. Like I said, tons of matchups coming up, a lot of names that you threw out there, but I know you'll probably fight any of them to get to that title shot because it's definitely within a grab now, I think, of one fight left for you at least.
That's the goal, man. That's what I'm hoping, and we'll see. Obviously, there's a lot of fights to happen in that 45 division. So, but when my time comes, it will come. So I'm not too rushed. Before I used to rush a lot of things, but I'm not in a rush, and obviously I'm still just getting into my prime. So it's definitely a good time to keep just working and keep going.
Exactly. And I think just to bounce off what you just said right there, too, like you're coming into your prime, and a lot of guys get held up in their division sometimes once they get to that middle mark of the rankings. But for you, I mean, at least from what the UFC and media outlets have announced, there's not a single guy booked right now in the top 10 in that division. So it's good to have options. You're not stuck at least. Is that kind of like a fair statement to say like you're gonna have a fight soon? You don't have to really wait on anybody. Like there is a lot of options on the table there.
100%, but I think the biggest thing is just what Volk is doing. So I think when that fight gets confirmed and they figure out what they're doing with him, I think it opens up the whole 45 division, and from there, you know what I mean. So I think he was just got to see what's happening with that, and then we're gonna go from there.
For sure. I think the ball is going to get rolling. I think he's obviously going to headline that second Paramount event next year, if I had to guess on that. So that'll be good to get the ball moving in that division for sure. Because, in my opinion, it's the most exciting division in the UFC right now. But, Youssef, speaking of next February for Volk, I know you just kind of said, well, it kind of depends on Volk's time and who he goes with and all this. But when do you see yourself getting back into the octagon?
February. I'm hoping February. I mean, the only time I can fight is February because of Ramadan, what I got going on. But either January or February, so it doesn't matter to me. But I prefer February. But obviously, if they call, I'm there, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, I mean, if not, I have to fight until early summer or something like that because of Ramadan. So it just depends on what they bring in, and like I said, if the division is moving or not.
For sure. And you got to respect the guys that have Ramadan too. Especially, I think, for a guy in your position right now, you're starting to gain a lot of momentum, starting to get a lot of hype. I definitely think that they're going to give you that slot on there in either January or February on the Paramount card. So that'd be cool to say that you're on one of the first Paramount cards for sure. I definitely see
Yeah,
that.
that'd be pretty dope. That'd be pretty dope.
I know there's some stuff right now that you probably can't talk about what they're doing with that, but just the fighter pay in general. And I think there's just going to be so many different portals that open up for guys, especially like you, that are going to be on the main card of these Paramount cards moving forward. So that's going to be dope to see that, brother. But Youssef, we talked at the beginning of the show. You've just been on the road. You've been everywhere, bro. I mean, you've been everywhere lately. Nobody can say that you're not a guy that's a man of the people. I mean, that's why you're on here today. Like, you're doing this interview with me. You've done every interview, seen every single person, it seems like, within the UFC industry the last few months since you've got the win over Josh. So what has been your favorite place that you've visited? And what are some of the best moments that you've experienced over the last 2 months, just traveling and not, having to be in the octagon yourself?
Man, there's a lot of moments there. Abu Dhabi was a lot of fun. That was a lot of experience. I did some things that I was very afraid of, and I actually got to pass my fear of that, but like heights and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. But New York was the best, man. It was awesome. It was long and weird timing because of East Coast, whatever. But it was definitely a fun time. I got to meet legends of this sport and to see the knowledge and just knew who I was. It's pretty cool to kind of even see that. So that was a very cool moments for me that I would keep for the rest of my life for sure. So that was I'm very happy about that. But yeah, man, I'm just trying to get out there and then really just be there and involved in this fighting game, as they say.
For sure. And I guess just to bounce off of New York, we do have a question about that later on in rapid fire. But I guess, was that your first time being in New York and just talking to all those people, getting to be in the most famous arena, at least in America? I mean, I'm going to say the world because I'm biased, because we live in America right now, me and you do. But, just being around all that legacy, and being around those legends, did that help you kind of change your perspective of, how big this really is?
I mean, I already knew how big this is. You know what I mean? So it doesn't. We picked the craziest sport in the world. You know what I mean? But I've been in Madison Square Garden. I walked out with my teammates for his fight and stuff like that. So it definitely to feel that and see that. It's like my time will come if that means that arena, you know what I mean. If it's not, it's not. Like I'm not gonna force those things, you know what I mean. So it's definitely like a dope experience, and to see it just like motivates you even more, you know what I mean. And it brings you out like, oh man, like this is big, and you are big, and can't wait to get to that point. So it's definitely like an eye opening, but also just a motivator in a way to kind of push you into the next thing.
Absolutely. And I think you're mentioning right there, you cornered David, I believe, last year, correct, for his fight in
Yeah.
MSG you're referring to. Okay, so now you've been to the MSG card the last 2 years. So I think with you probably just being there the last 2 years that they've went there, that energy in the building, that just has to make you want to fight there one day. So I think, is that probably a bucket list thing for you to get your feet on the mat?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would fight there, but it mostly just like makes me want to fight. That's the whole
Yes.
thing. It's like mostly want me to fight. It's not specifically in that arena, but it definitely brings like, oh wow, like let's go, because it's a lot smaller arena, right? It's not as big as an arena as other arenas, but it's definitely like, oh man, like let's go. You know what I mean? So that's how I just felt about it. More like, okay, let's go. I can't wait.
That's awesome, man. I love to hear that perspective. It's so cool to talk to everybody because they always have different perspectives whenever they go to these UFC events. But Yusuf, I gotta ask now, man. You come from a very well-known gym in the UFC, Factory X. A lot of people know there. A lot of great fighters out of there right now. What's a moment in training though that you've experienced that kind of changed your whole mentality of this thing?
Of Factory X.
Yeah, like just being around Factory X, like is there a certain moment that stands out to you that just kind of changed your whole mentality of like, dang man, like I could do this. Like I could be a world champion one day.
Oh man, yeah, all the guys that I trained with, all the experiences that I trained with, you know what I mean? So definitely seeing guys fighting for a world title, seeing guys are being in the rankings, seeing guys are having bonuses, 3 bonuses, 2 bonuses in a row, whatever the case is. So that was like the motivator and then the excitement about it, you know what I mean? So I think those are all moments that made me realize like, okay, we're in the right path and we're doing the right things.
For sure. And I think right there, if you surround yourself with greatness, then you can eventually see yourself, achieving that greatness as well. So would you say that's probably the biggest thing you've taken away from being at Factory X is like, if I'm around these guys and we're all doing this together, like we can all be great one day and be champs.
100%. 100%. It's you feed off each other's energy. You're like, oh man, he got a knockout. I want to get a better knockout. I want to get a good knockout, or trying to match him, and stuff like that. So it's kind of like really competitive in a way, but it's also really pushing each other and trying to go to the next level for sure.
Yeah, it's good friendly competition. If you have that, I think that's the best base for a gym in general in the MMA world or in any other sport. If you got that friendly competition where you can bounce off each other and just get better every day, I think everybody gets to their end goal. And especially guys like you who see themselves right now and potentially one fight away from a title fight. But Yusuf, I can't let you get off here, bro, without doing rapid fire. We always end with 5 rapid fire questions. So we got some bangers for you today. You've had some days off lately. I know you've spent a lot of time at these UFC events, but what's a perfect day off look like for you? I know you don't have many of them, but what's a perfect day, man?
uh, God, bro, just eating a bunch of food, going to a bunch of restaurants, and just relaxing. It's I'm not the guy that goes out or through the mountain or hiking and none of that stuff. I just I like peace. I like to chill, and I'm a very high energy person. So when I get to have that home balance and relax, it's definitely worth it. But yeah, man, just enjoying family, hanging out, and going like trying foods. I love food, so that's kind of like my day off, I would say.
That's awesome, man. I'm a very high energy person too. So like whenever I get to finally sit down at the end of the day and just chill, oh man, it's like the best feeling in the world. I know exactly, you know what I'm talking about right now. People that don't have high energy, it's just normal for them to sit down. But once you're a high energetic person and you take that seat at the end of the day, it just feels good, man. It hits different. I
No,
promise.
bro, yeah, it definitely is different for sure.
Like it's just one of those things. So I'm glad you said that right there because I can completely relate to that. And I do love food. I need to quit. I probably need to chill out on the food a little bit. I need to get back in the gym
Yeah, me
myself.
too. Me too.
I need to chill on that. So that's cool to see that we've got some similarities there for sure. But Yusuf, we just talked a minute ago about Factory X, all the great people you're surrounded by there. But who has been the most influential person along your MMA journey so far? If you had to pick one.
God, a teammate or coaches? I don't
It,
know.
it could be anybody. It could be a teammate, coach, family member, friend outside of MMA. It could be anybody.
I mean, there's a lot of people, bro. There's definitely a lot of people, but obviously all my teammates and stuff like that. Obviously, those are very important. Obviously, the head coach Mark Montoya, I was like, he got me when I was a young kid, super young kid. So he's been with me my whole professional career and my last 2 amateur fights. So it's definitely been a long journey. So yeah, definitely those guys are the backbone of my career. You know what I mean? And obviously my family too. My family's it's who I am because of them. You know what I mean? So it's definitely those are the number one fans and the number one back support. So definitely, without them, I won't be who I am, to be honest. So
That's awesome, man. I think whenever I ask that question to people, sometimes whether it's on here or off camera, sometimes I do only have one answer, and for me, the answer you just gave is the answer that you really should be, because it sounds like you have a good supporting cast with you. If you have one answer for that question, then it's like, dang, man, like that's kind of leaving everybody else in the dust. But it sounds like you've got a great support base with your family. That's awesome to hear that. I'm very family oriented as well. And then you got a good coach that's always been with you since your amateur days. And then you got the teammates. So shout out to all those guys. I know you can't mention all their names, but that's the
Yeah,
right
there's
answer.
a lot. There's a lot of
That's the
teammates.
right
That's
answer.
a lot of guys.
If you say one person, it makes me feel bad for the person because they're like, dang, like nobody else believed in him, man, from the jump. But for you, it doesn't sound like it was like that way. So that's good to hear that, man.
No, I always been blessed of having people believe in me more than myself sometimes. So it's definitely a good thing to have, and definitely a good thing to grow up with. So it's definitely an eye opening, as they say.
Yeah, that's dope, man. That is dope. I love to hear that. Great answer again. But Youssef, we were just talking about New York, man. You were there in person, so I got to ask you. There was 4 pretty badass finishes, man. I don't know if you were out in the crowd watching all 4 of these, or if you were in the back messing around. But what was your favorite finish at UFC 322 last weekend?
I would say I put Carlos Prata as number one. That's just because he done something that to nobody else done to Leon Edwards. So that was kind of that, and obviously Bo Nickel too. That was kind of a very good high kick. I mean, the matchup was an easier matchup, I think, but
For sure.
you can't sleep on Bo Nickel, man. He's improving everywhere, and it's gonna be a problem, man. And I know a lot of people, especially in this fight game, so I give him all the respect for what he did too. They just you did hate him or love him, you know what I mean? I love him, so I'm cool. I'm cool with that. He's doing great things, and I can't wait to see what he does in the future.
For sure. I think if I was ranking them right there too, I think those two would be at the top of the board. I always tell everybody that Carlos is probably my favorite fighter in the UFC that I don't personally know or I've personally never talked to. So I'm a little bit biased on that. But Bo Nickel, if you go back and watch my vlog with Terrence McKinney, I look at the camera and I go, damn, that wasn't on my bingo card tonight. If someone would have said that Bo Nickel would have got a head kick KO, even though it was a very favorable matchup for him, like you said, I wouldn't have expected him to get a head kick KO. So shout out to him. It looks like the RDR loss really lit a fire under his ass. So hell of a performance by Carlos and Bo Nickel on that. So I couldn't agree more with you on that. That was a fantastic night to watch it on TV. I'm sure it was even more electric to see that in person like you did. So that was awesome, bro. I'm glad to hear that we're on the same page on that as well.
Yeah, it was a dope night. It was definitely a dope night.
For sure. I mean, I think just being in whenever you have that arena like MSG, it just brings the best out of everybody. Brings the best out of the fans, it brings the best out of the fighters. It just creates moments like that. That's why you see such great moments always happen at the MSG card, I feel like. But Yusuf, I'm a guy, whenever I played football, or Americans call it soccer, I had certain superstitions I had to do before games. Do you have any weird superstitions that you have to do before you walk out to the octagon?
Uh, not really, not so much. I just don't listen to my walkout song in the playlist until I walk out. So that's kind of like the one thing I make sure that doesn't happen. But beside that, I keep the same everything normal. Get the time a few hours before, get dressed up, wear the suit, get ready to go, and ready to rock and roll. But yeah, that's pretty much. I don't know if that's superstitions, but whatever. That's kind of my thing.
I think that counts because I've actually had many fighters. I mean, obviously, I know a lot of guys within the UFC. That's why we have the channel. And a lot of them say that they won't play their walkout song, like even in the gym whenever they're training. Like they'll have somebody skip it real quick. Like even if it comes on while they're at the gym, because they're like, I want that just for that moment of the walkout. Is that kind of how you are?
No, 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 no. I listen to it in the gym. I listen to it in sparring. I listen to it in every other day. No problem. Just on fight day, I want to feel that fresh energy when I walk out. So that's kind of my thing. But obviously, everybody's different. But yeah, everybody got their walkout songs and songs they want to listen to before walkout. But that's kind of what keeps me in a good mood, as they say. I don't know.
For sure. I think, I mean, if you're in the bag just like playing the song over and over again, it doesn't make that moment as special as what it is whenever whenever you're walking out. I feel like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of taken away from the moment. Like obviously, a lot of us humans we don't get to experience walking out in the UFC, especially on a pay per view like you. But like it's just going to take away from that moment if you're already in the back and you already feel that, that song. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a good superstition to throw out there for sure. That definitely
Yeah,
counts.
like I said, that's like one thing I do, but I don't know if that's the big superstitions, but yeah, that's what I do.
Hey, if anybody hates on that, then they're just haters, bro. I'm on the same team with you. I think that's a good superstition to have. That's definitely how I would be if I was a UFC fighter. So if you're hating on that, guys, then just don't even comment nothing.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna go crazy if the song comes on in the back. It's like whatever,
Exactly.
it is what it is. But the walkout is always gonna be the walkout. It's no matter what. But it does just I just don't. I'd rather not listen to it if I had to pick. But yeah, so that's kind of my thing.
Exactly, man. I completely agree with you on that. But Youssef, if you weren't in MMA, man, what other sport would you be playing right now?
Probably soccer, to be honest.
I'm about to say, I know you have a soccer background, so this better be soccer because that's why I was asking this question. I know you.
Yeah, it's probably be soccer.
Is it definitely soccer? Like, is that just really the only two sports that you've kind of messed with growing up, or is there anything else?
Yeah, that's it. It's kickboxing and soccer. That's it. I never
All.
played anything else. I was never good at anything else, but that's kind of my thing. So
Hey, Morocco is such a great country in football right now, man. Especially at the last World Cup. I mean, they absolutely smashed it. I think they're going to smash it again in 2026 whenever the World Cup's going on over here. So you're from a great nation of football. I know game, obviously because I'm a footballer myself or used to be. So I'm not surprised to hear that you grew up playing football. When was the first time that you did play though? Before I get off that topic.
when I was super, super young, like probably 7 years old, like something like that. Yeah, like super, super young.
Wow. So when did you stop playing?
When I came to the US, mostly like I played then and then in the US, but not so much. Like I would say when I was 14, 15, like somewhere around that time. But I did play like in high school, like we were playing lunch break and stuff like that, but not so much when I came to the US. But
Okay. Well, yeah, because you were obviously like trying to focus on MMA at that point. But that's cool to hear that, man. You almost played football for about 10 years. I'm sure you'd still school a lot of Americans because a lot of Americans
ah,
they don't respect the game. I don't know why. It's one of the toughest games out there in the world. I'm not going to sit here in front of a UFC fighter and say that it's not the toughest sport in the world because it absolutely is. But soccer's up there too. Not everybody can run forever and play at a high level and a high pace. So you got to be a little bit athletic to play soccer. That's just my opinion though. So Yusuf, if you ever
no,
want to
100%.
some time with soccer, man, we can definitely shoot some content. That'd be dope to get on the pitch with you, do like a crossbar challenge or something like that.
I'm down. I'm down. I'll be down.
You versus like two other guys from Factory X, we'd smash them for sure. But Yusuf, I have gotten to my final question. I do ask every single fighter this that comes on the channel that is an active fighter. What is your final message to the fans tuning into this interview right now to continue to watch your journey inside the UFC?
Man, keep believing in yourself. I feel like you are your worst enemy. So when you look yourself in the mirror, you can kind of really realize what are you doing wrong and what are you doing right. You know what I mean? It's a simple black and white, as they say. It's a simple answer. You know what I mean? You're working hard. You're doing the things that you need supposed to do, and let the rest happen with its fate and everything. You know what I mean? So some people believe in fate, some people don't. It is what it is. But as long as you have the discipline and consistent and believing in that faith, and the rest will all come along, man. It doesn't matter. There's always light under the tunnel, as they say. So, and that is very true. So you keep going. It might take years. It might take none of that. But hey, look at me. I'm here. You know what I mean? It went from being cut to now we're talking about one fight away from a title shot or two fights away from a title shot. So that makes me excited and makes me happy, and I hope it brings some light to other people in the future. You know what I mean? And the people that are coming up and the people in the UFC as well. So definitely that'll be my message, and I hope that helps a lot of people.
Absolutely, man. What a fantastic final message right there. That might have been my favorite, if not one of the top. That's definitely a top five that I've had on here. At the end of the day, guys, it is exactly what he said at the beginning of that message. You are your own worst enemy. You got to believe in yourself before others are going to believe in you. And that's the starting point to success anywhere in life. That doesn't matter if you're a UFC fighter like Youssef, a journalist like me, or if you're just going to go help your pops, do whatever job that you're doing there. That applies to everything in life. So, Youssef, that was a fantastic final message. Thank you so much for coming on here tonight. we can't wait to see what's in store for you next, brother. Once you get that next fight announced, we'd love to get you back on here to chat about that. But it was an honor to finally have you on here today, Youssef.
Thank you, my man. I appreciate you, brother.
Absolutely. Make sure you guys follow him at the Moroccan Devil on Instagram, and we'll see you guys next time on Hawk Sports. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll see you next time.